Hey there, Canopy Growth traders and investors. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Also home to the best MJ community. Happy Monday. It's April 15th. Hope you had a great weekend and hope you had a great day as well. In this video, we're going to be discussing Canopy Growth's exchangeable shares and new share structure that was approved by shareholders. We'll go over the results. I'll give my thoughts and opinions, and we'll go over the chart and the technicals and what to expect in terms of price action in the days, weeks, months ahead as well. But as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only, yada, yada, yada. And you should never buy or sell anything based on anything that I say or write. Also, you can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. The handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. Also, make sure to like the video. I would appreciate it. Share it with anybody that might find value. Also going to be giving away an annual membership to the Pow Group private community on 4/20, Saturday, April 20th. You go to the YouTube channel, click on community, scroll down. There's the details there. I'll be announcing the winner on 4/20 in celebration of 4/20, Germany going legal and Florida on the ballot for 2024. So diving into the MJ Biz Daily article here, Canopy stockholders okay share structure for U.S. MJ Holding Company. We'll go through the details here. So Canopy Growth shareholders voted in favor of the new exchangeable share structure meant to enable Canopy's planned entry into the American MJ market via U.S. domiciled holding company, Canopy USA. Canopy shareholders voted 95.5% in favor of the plan during a Friday meeting, according to a Monday news release. I don't think anybody had any doubt that this wasn't going to go through, and you can see here an overwhelming majority were in favor of. I can't see why anybody would not want this company to potentially start to become an MSO, right? I've said many times that LPs will become MSOs and vice versa. And then shortly after I made that video, we had news that we had an acquisition by Cureleaf. They acquired Northern Green Canada, a smaller operator, but an operator in Canada nonetheless. Eventually, we're going to see the mega merger phase and blue chip phase, but that's only going to come after the U.S. legalizes at the federal level, and whether it be through Congress or the effectively descheduling it from the CSA. But overall, I think this is great news. And like I said, we're starting to see LPs become MSOs, and we're starting to see MSOs, so producers in the US, become LPs, producers in Canada. The new share structure will allow Canopy to allow an unlimited number of new class of non-voting and non-participating exchangeable shares. I've already done a video explaining the exchangeable share structure, and then I did another live stream as well discussing a bit more about that and where the shares would trade. So I highly encourage you to check those videos out. I don't want to repeat myself. So without voting or dividend rights as well, which can be converted into common Canopy shares. And we know that Constellation Brands has already expressed its intent to convert into exchangeable shares as well. Acreage, Jetty, and Wana moves are next. Canopy USA will then exercise options to acquire Canopy's existing US MJ assets, including Acreage Holdings, Jetty Extracts, and Wana Brands. Canopy Growth is expected to deconsolidate the financial results of Canopy USA and have a non-controlling interest in Canopy USA, company said. With this successful shareholder vote complete, our Canopy USA strategy is advancing and is poised to make Canopy the first and only US-listed MJ company, offering shareholders unique exposure to the rapid growth of the U.S. MJ market, said CEO David Klein. And, you kind of have your option, right? You can exchange your shares one for one, and then you can sort of limit your risk, or you can assess your risk in the U.S. market, right? Which I don't think there's any doubt in my mind. I'll be exchanging my shares if anybody's wondering what I'm doing. But again, not telling you what to do. That's just my own thoughts and opinions. Canopy USA can now move quickly to acquire its U.S. assets in Wana, Jetty, and Acreage, and we expect Canopy Growth to begin highlighting Canopy USA's financial performance to our shareholders later this year. So that's going to be exciting and interesting to watch. But as we know, Acreage has a big position in a big market share in Ohio as well, and Pennsylvania, which we know Ohio became the 24th state to legalize at the adult use level. And then we should see Pennsylvania in the not too distant future. And there was some FUD today basically saying that we're not going to have the 60% required votes in Florida. I don't think that that's true. I think it's going to pass somewhere around the 65 to 70% mark. And I do think it's going to get approved and enacted at some point in summer of 2025. Also, U.S. rescheduling optimism. So CEO Klein added that Canopy is cautiously optimistic, which is a very common term these days, that MJ will be moved from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 in the near term, which I've been echoing. I thought, the most likely scenarios we're going to see it this month, still, half the month to go. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm certainly not doubting it either. I do think that the most likely scenario is we get it now. If not this month, it could be a month or two. But I think, with that 60-day comment period, the election's coming up, I think they're going to want to get it done. And then a vote of confidence to voters. Like, hey, you voted for us last time, the Dems, when we took control of the Senate. You've seen what happened to MJ prices in February 2021 on hopes of U.S. legalization. And basically the whole reason why Biden was put in office, a lot of the data says, is because of his pro-MJ stance. And then the whole reason why the Dems took control of the Senate is because of their pro-MJ stance. So for them to come through on their promises, do something, I think rescheduling would make the most sense. And now we're just waiting on the DEA, which we know the FDA chief said that there's no reason for them to delay the Schedule 3 recommendation and just get it done, which is asinine to me because, why is the DEA, the enforcement agency, making the final call? It's so backwards, it doesn't make any sense. But anyways, I digress. So this would boost cash flow in the near term for Wana, Jetty, and Acreage, right? If we remove a Schedule 3, then we remove 280E. Cureleaf has said it's already paid over $350 million to the U.S. government. It's probably close to $400 million now, just under 280E alone. So imagine if that extra, revenue and that cash went to their bottom line, right? That would be massive. And Cureleaf said they'd already be paying a dividend if not for that. So that's something to really let sink in as well. My girlfriend was calling me there. I'll have to call her back. Canopy also said that combining its U.S. assets under the Canopy USA umbrella is expected to generate revenue and cost synergies. And on the topic of taxation and 280E, this is like a 1-2 punch. This is going to be insane. So tomorrow is the 16th, which is Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to have the federal budget released in Canada. There's a lot of speculation that we could see an improvement to excise taxes, a switch to a percentage fee, which would add tens of millions of dollars to these companies' bottom line. Imagine if Canopy gets this, 1-2 punch essentially, and these strings of positive catalyst strung together, right? If we see improvements to 280E and rescheduling in the U.S. for its U.S. assets, then we get improvement to excise taxes here in Canada. Oh man, look out! It's gonna be an exciting ride, and hard to tell where we would go from there. I think easily somewhere to that $15 to $20 range now post split. But I don't think it's a coincidence that we're seeing all of this happen at the same time. Excise tax potentially switching to a percentage fee, and then also 280E going away. So the shareholder approval comes roughly a year and a half after Canopy first announced its plan to create the Canopy USA holding company. The special shareholder meeting Friday was announced alongside Canopy's third quarter earnings in February, and Canopy USA plan has faced hurdles from both the NASDAQ and the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, right? This is a novel structure, but this also paves the way for other LPs to do something similar, right? So this is huge. Don't let this fall by the wayside because this is massive. And kudos to Canopy for getting it done and showing others the way. So we'll dive into the CGC chart here. I mentioned on one of my previous videos, and I got a lot of pushback. People were basically saying, we're close to $12 here. There's no way we're going to pull back to $6 or $5. There's a lot of support in the $6 to $5 range, and we didn't establish barely any support on this move up. And we're now down over 41% from the local high here. So if you just let this be a lesson, right? If something goes up, so in a very short period of time, in 14 days, so in 2 weeks, we were up over 300%, so closer to 320%. So when something goes up 320% with barely any support, we didn't form any support or higher lows along the way. And if something goes up 100%, say, in a week or two, you need to expect at least a 10 to 20% pullback, right? To remain, that would just be healthy as well. If something goes 200%, you need to expect a 20 to 30, maybe even 40% pullback. If something goes up 300% or more in a very short period of time, days or weeks, then you need to expect at least triple that. Like you need to expect at least a 40, 50, maybe even a slight higher percentage drawdown, right? And as of right now, we just ran 320% and we're now getting close to 40, well, we're at like 41% down. We could still see an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross as well, similar to the S&P 500. So if we bring up the SPY chart here real quickly, you can see here we're seeing an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross. We're heading to daily oversold. I mentioned this is more than likely the case. We hadn't been daily oversold since October, and we hadn't had a bear cross on the daily EMAs since way back in September. So we were due for weekly consolidation as well. And with all the geopolitical tensions, I hate to see it. Never want to see that. Hopefully, wars are kind of it's been happening since, pretty much the beginning of time. There's not really anything that we can do. I hate to see it, wish it wasn't happening. But at the end of the day, it's show me the chart and I'll tell you the news. and everybody always wants, and it kind of blew over, but we'll see. There's a lot of tensions right now with, World War III. We could be on the brink of it. And then, China and Taiwan tensions as well, always on the back burner and an unknown there. So you can't live in fear either. But, looking at the chart, we knew that we were more than likely going to be expecting downside. And when the market goes down, the market needs a reason, right? And in my opinion, it was mostly just technical and a lot of the puppet masters pulling the puppet strings essentially and coinciding this all with, where we were in terms of overheating, and they needed a reason, right? They needed something to blame it to. But, at the end of the day, again, don't want to see war. I hate that it's happening. I wish that it would never happen, but it's just a way of life really at this point. And hopefully it doesn't escalate to, too much further from here. But at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do to control it. All we can do is prepare for up, down, and sideways. So that's all we need to be worried about, right? You don't need to live in fear either. So with that being said, the broader market showing weakness, we could follow suit. So, bearing any unforeseen news, if we don't have any news coming out with regards to excise taxes, something as well tomorrow is it comes out after the stock market closes, right at 4 p.m. Eastern. So isn't that interesting timing? So we'll see if we don't get news of the excise tax switching to a percentage fee, these could sell off a lot more. And if we get weakness continuing tomorrow and Wednesday on the broader market on the S&P 500, that would be headwinds, right? So we could see even more selling pressure. So we'll potentially expect that daily EMA 12 and 26 bull cross to follow through. Maybe it happens into tomorrow and then we recover and they approve. That's what I think the most likely scenario is they release the news after market close tomorrow that they do approve the excise tax to a percentage fee. And then these stocks are going to absolutely fly. But I do think daily oversold potentially in the cards here. If we take a look at our low to the high, we're getting close to the 0.618 there at 614 and the 0.786 at 464. So if we lose 614, then the next one is the 0.786 there at 464. And we have a lot of support as well in that $5 to $6 range. And something you want to look at as well is what are other names in this space? What are other names in the space doing, right? MSOS dipped below its 0.618. Okay, what did Tilray do from its local low to the local top? It's actually closer. It's actually below its 0.786, so it's basically given back that whole move, right? So if CGC were to do something similar to MSOS, Tilray, the other leaders in the space, that'd put us around 614. And if we do like what MSOS just did, and if we do what Tilray did, then we'd be below $5 USD. And then something I want to bring up here as well is the 10-week moving average is there at 578. We just had a bear cross of the stochastic, and the MACD could curl as well. So a lot of support in that $5 to $6 area on the weekly time frame. We also have the 50 weekly there at $6, rate even on $6, and we have the daily 50 moving average at 5.17 cents and the 200 at 5.65. So I do think, that somewhere around that $6 to $5 area is going to be a nice bottom in that golden pocket to target for a bottom on CGC. But let me know what you think of this news. Like I said, I got a lot of pushback whenever I said that CGC was probably going to go back down to $6 or $5. People are like, you're crazy. We're at almost $12 USD. You think it's going to go to 5 or 6? Well, let this be a lesson when something goes up 300%, and we didn't even change the weekly trend. This move all came off the low in a weekly downtrend. Once we lost the low here, the high here at 527, that broke the weekly downtrend. We were no longer in a lower high, lower low pattern. So that broke the weekly uptrend, but now we're flat. We're not in a downtrend. We're not in an uptrend. So now we're looking for a weekly higher low. And actually, let me just draw this out. We could potentially be looking at a weekly bull flag here. Let me just see how much we've consolidated. Actually, no, we pulled back more than the 0.32 fib. So if we would have held 820, well, realistically, it wasn't really a great setup anyway because we weren't in a weekly uptrend. So whenever you were looking for bullish continuation patterns, which is that, of a daily bull flag or a weekly bull flag, that's bullish continuation patterns. You want to be in a weekly uptrend to see that confidence that you're going to see that bullish continuation, right? If you're in a bull trend, if you're in an uptrend, then a bullish continuation pattern makes a lot of sense to play out, right? So at this point, now we're expecting, this is more than just a healthy correction. We could potentially start an equilibrium of tightening range. But on the monthly time frame, all we're looking for is a potential monthly higher low. We got 14 days left in this month, and this move's all coming off the low, where a lot of names are in monthly uptrends, like MSOS, the ETF, right? And a lot of the US names, some names in Canada, SNDL, High Tide, VFF, I think Cron confirmed it as well. Lots of Nova MJ as well. So there's a lot of uptrends, but there's a lot of laggards as well. And CGC is probably at least 2 months away, bare minimum, before we see a monthly uptrend, because next month we could potentially form a higher low, lose the low of this month next month, then break to a higher high, and that would give us our monthly uptrend. And we also just had our weekly EMA 12 and 26 bull cross, which was the first time since October and November of 2020. And then something else as well is the golden cross here on the daily time frame with the 50-day set to cross the 200-day here at any week, really, any point now. And last time that happened again was back in October and November of 2020, and you can see how much we skyrocketed after that. So it's looking good. Like I said, we could see a little bit more pullback from here. I wouldn't be surprised if we backtest those weekly EMAs there around 636 and 625 as well. But don't be surprised if we do pull back into the fives. But I do think that would be a nice area to target for a bottom. And that would mean that from the low of where we are this week, that would mean about another 10% of downside from here. I think 10 to 20% of downside is realistic. And then I think we're going to see massive price appreciation. And that could come off of the back of safe banking. There's talks about adding MJ banking to a crypto bill. We could see stablecoin legislation and safe banking and MJ banking all at the same time, and that would be massive. And then if we get rescheduling news, excise tax shifting to a percentage fee here in Canada. Oh, there's so many catalysts, it's not even funny. But Germany going medical as well. Rescheduling would enable medical for the Canadian names in the US as well. So there's so much on the horizon, it's not even funny. But let me know what you think of this news. Going into it there, hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, smash a like if I earned it today, and share the video with anybody that might find value. It's Rod with Powell Group. We'll see you again on the next video.